Hello, everyone. This is author, motivational speaker, and dating coach Matthew C. Horne, and I'm bringing you a video tonight titled Masculinity Always Gives Women the Freedom to Choose Him. It's brought to you by my books, How to Get Beautiful Women and Everything Else You Want from Life, in addition to How to Be Appealing to Successful Black Men for Black Women. They're both available at my website, www.matthewchorne.com. Don't forget to like, comment, share, and subscribe, and to continue to push with the algorithm so I can continue to bring you these elevated messages. But let's get right to it. Masculinity always gives her freedom to choose him. Masculinity always gives women freedom to choose him. And what brought this video about tonight is a coaching call that I had earlier today. And the gentleman was, first of all, thank you to the gentleman, if you're watching, for getting the coaching from me. He's an international guy, a broad type of brother, a smooth operator. Coast to coast, LA to... Yeah, he's a smooth operator Sade was talking about, man. Shout out to this smooth young brother, man. But he got a coaching call from me, and he was trying to decide on whether he should keep a particular woman in his space. And I'm pretty assured when I say that he got maybe some perspectives that he hadn't quite considered, but he was thankful for. And what I was able to see was that there was an element of control that he was trying to exert over his relationship that was based in fear. And masculinity is never a fear-based proposition. Masculinity gives women the freedom to choose him every day. The cornerstone of masculinity is that you're never trying to control a woman, because you can't influence the outcomes of a woman through control. You can only influence the outcomes with a particular woman through how you declare that you're going to show up every day in her life. And your actions must correspond with your declarations. And you tell women, I'm going to be a good man to you every day. I'm going to choose you every day. And I'm not going to try to control you every day. I'm going to give you the freedom to be yourself. And I'm going to give you the freedom to choose me every day the same exact way that I'm choosing you. That is a heightened level of masculinity, because most men that women encounter, especially beautiful women, they're encountering men who are trying to control them. They're trying to control them because these men are afraid of losing them, because they don't have a love for themselves and a belief that they actually belong in this beautiful woman's space. So the parameters and the foundation of the relationship is fear-based. And if a woman is in a fear-based position regarding you and how she's going to deal with you, she can never naturally be herself and choose you with freedom. The woman, in order to effectively and healthily choose you, has to have a clear and free atmosphere to do so. If she's pushed with fear, then she's going to wake up one day and she's going to say, I've lost myself. I've lost myself, because you didn't give her an adequate space and place to choose you. And you never want to have a woman that you fancy and that you desire have to come to a conclusion that she's in a controlled, fear-based environment that's influencing how she moves with you, because she won't be able to be true to herself. The healthiest way that two individuals can choose one another is when both individuals have complete and utter freedom to choose each other every day. You can never coerce a woman into choosing you. You can only present the version of yourself that is masculine and self-secure, that you're going to give her the freedom to choose you every day. Magical things, deep connections, optimal outcomes happen in spaces of freedom. And what the control looks like is that a man is telling her, you can't go here, you can't do this. I have fear-based expectations of you. But nothing healthy comes from fear. Only chaos, only uncertainty, only imbalance comes when the natural leader of the relationship, the man, introduces fear as the parameters of how any woman has to deal with him. She's going to feel confined. And every person who is confined, ultimately they want to break free. But a woman never has to break free in your presence if she's given optimal freedom to be herself. When two individuals can be themselves in a relationship and have the space to choose each other every day, that's when you can gauge compatibility. Fear is trying to force an outcome. Compatibility naturally creates the outcome that you desire. So you never want to delve into fear. And women have an expectation of extremely attractive men that they've been there before, that this is not the first beautiful woman that they've dealt with. Because beautiful women know how men approach them with a fear-based reality. They're catering to them as soon as they meet them. And if they happen to land in a woman's space and they get into a relationship, they're doing everything in their power to keep her, as opposed to not being afraid to lose her. Reference my video, the man who is not afraid to lose her will always have her. And that's what I say in my book, How to Get Beautiful Women and Everything Else You Want from Life. It's right here on the back cover. I promise you, the man who is not afraid to lose her will always have her. That's one of my quotes that I have right here on the back cover. Because in order to have a woman is to realize that you never have her, and then you'll always have the best parts of her. To have a woman is to realize you'll never have her. But when you have that realization, she's going to operate in a free space to choose you, and you're going to have the best parts of her that translates to the best possible experience that you can have with her. You can never be afraid to lose her. Don't introduce parameters of control. And so I was able to introduce different examples from my life. This coaching call was about the gentleman. Any examples that I used from my life were just to validate points that I was making and to help him to see things with clarity. And I told him about my last relationship and how, after I was in a relationship, my girlfriend, she was significantly younger than me, in her mid-20s, and she had her girlfriends that were her same age, and they had to move around and go places and do things, and I never got in her way. Never. And when it was my turn to go out, when she was out, I was out, because we didn't have a fear-based relationship. And there were some places that I wasn't necessarily going because I was spending a lot of time with her. But, when she made a decision that she wanted to hang out with her girls and this and that, it was no resistance. I said, go be yourself. And subsequently, there were places that I frequent that I wasn't frequenting as much, and I would go there, in the times that her and I were separated. And one thing that I told the gentleman is when I went these places, there were many beautiful women around me, but I never had the temptation to look in the opposite direction of my girlfriend. Meaning that she didn't have to put clamps and parameters on me based on the connection that I had with her and the freedom that I had with her. I chose her. And you want to give your woman the same space to do the same things with you. Because she had a life before she met you. She had friends before she met you. And you don't want a woman to feel like she's losing herself by being with you. Naturally, she's going to be around you because you are her man that she desires. So her atmosphere is going to shift, and the things that she was doing as a single woman are going to change naturally, not because of fear and coercion. They're just going to change. And so you all are going to spend a significant amount of time together, but you want to give the woman room to continue to be her individual self. And that's how she can show up in your space with optimal freedom and fall deeper and deeper into lust and love with you, because you gave her the freedom to choose. And I was telling a gentleman that I told him something, that was real. And I told him how fast sex happens. Like when a woman sees a sexy, attractive man, sex can happen in a matter of minutes of her meeting the guy. And I told him that because I say you can't govern her vagina, man. When men try to introduce control to a woman's life when they get into a relationship, they're trying to govern her vagina. They're trying to ensure that she's never going to step out and cheat on him. But I told the gentleman how fast sex happens, and I gave him some examples of I've met women in a matter of moments. They just decided that they wanted to have sex. And I was telling him that you can't control that woman's desire to do sexual things with other men. But what's most appealing to the woman is when you give her the freedom to choose you every day. And you point blank tell her that the only expectation that I have of you is that you're going to respect me and that you're going to choose me every day the same way that I choose you. I don't care if you've been married 50 years. That has to be the parameters and the foundation of your relationship. Is you as the leader of the relationship gives the woman the ability to choose you every day with no clamps, handcuffs, or parameters based in fear. Nothing good comes from fear. Nothing good comes from a fear-based foundation and parameters. That woman is going to feel trapped, and eventually she's going to want to break free. And masculinity is understanding that you can't control anyone other than yourself. Masculinity is refreshing to beautiful women because most men, regardless of how attractive that they are, they're coming at this woman trying to control her as soon as they get into her space. But the man who is not afraid to lose her will always have her, meaning that she's going to be so intrigued by you and the freedom that you're giving her that she's going to be left to her own devices to choose you every day. That's intriguing. That's when you go from a very attractive man to a mind-blowing, extremely desirable man. That's when you make the separation and the graduation into that type of man, because she understands how much you love yourself. And she understands how you have not made her the object of desire in the relationship, that you are your object of desire, and that you're not going to desire her above how much you desire yourself. That's when you introduce freedom. That's when you introduce freedom. And that's intriguing. That's when you go to the irresistible man. And I talk a lot about sexually attractive men, but the sexually attractive man that loves himself enough to give any woman freedom to choose him now becomes irresistible. And when she's out and she's away from you, if she is really connected to you, this is what I was telling the gentleman on the coaching call today. If she's really connected to you, then naturally, as you two fall in love with one another, you all can be physically apart from one another, but never separated from one another. Which means that when she's out and she's away from you, regardless of what she's doing, you are going to be her every other thought. That's what happens when you fall in love with someone. You all become each other's every other thought because you're becoming one. And so you have a new part of your identity in which the woman has occupied, so you naturally consider her. Before you met her, you just considered yourself, which is healthy, which is perfectly fine. But when you're becoming one with someone in a healthy space of choice, then they become your every other thought. And without coercion and influence and fear-based parameters, you choose them every day. You think about them, you consider them. And that's the healthy way to allow any woman to operate in your space, is through the power to choose you. She'll be caught up in your rapture because you didn't try to control her. You gave her the freedom to choose you. A woman cannot adequately choose you and operate in her femininity if you're trying to govern her movements. Masculinity is based in self-love and self-awareness. And so if you love yourself, you're always giving the woman space to choose you. And since she has an adequate space to choose you, she would choose you in her own way, in her own time. And that's when the connection lasts, because she was able to make the distinction and connection on her own. She was able to reconcile how she feels for you and the level of desire and love that she has for you on her own. And that's why you let women come to you. And that's why you give them the freedom to choose, is because that's deepening her connection to you and her desire for you, because you gave her the space to choose you. So masculinity always gives women the freedom to choose him. That's what it comes down to. Always. Because you're not afraid to lose her. See, the thing with trying to govern a woman is that you're never going to have the most heightened experience that you can possibly have with her. And that's one thing that I told my coaching client today, was how when I really connected with my ex-girlfriend, there was a perpetual heightened state that I had reached. I felt more alive than I had felt in a very long time, because this woman's presence was literally with me when I was not physically with her. And you have to not control women. You have to give them the opportunity to explore the depths of love, attraction, and desire for you, that you're literally present with her when you're not physically in her presence. That's when the love is real. That's when the love is deep, because it was fostered in a space of freedom, a healthy space for her to choose you and reconcile within herself the magnitude of man that you are, how you're consistently showing up in her life, and the depth of connection and love that she has for you. So masculine men never try to smother women and try to govern that vagina and make sure no one ever comes close to it. If a woman's going to stray, she's going to cheat, she's going to do it. There's nothing you can do. The only thing that you can do is gauge her level of desire for you. Make her your woman once you adequately understand how much she desires you and how consistent she's been. And then even within that space, move forward with her, giving her the choice to choose you, giving her the freedom to choose you. That's when that love gets deep, because she's used to men operating in femininity, the fear. That's why women, they feel more complete with a man, because that man is created to be a presence of security in her life. But if you are trying to coerce her and control her, you're making her above you, and you're putting her in a masculine position, and you're putting yourself in a feminine position, because you're looking for validation from her. Masculinity is ingrained with the strong belief and foundation within himself, man. You have your own validation. And that's something that is a refreshing breath of fresh air for her, is because you're validated within yourself and you're not validated in her. Evidence in the freedom that you give her to choose you. You have to love her and govern her the same way that God governs us, man. And I don't want to get too spiritual, but every once in a while, as I'm meditating and putting my thoughts together for my videos, I'll get a scripture. And the one that I got tonight was, I have my Bible opened up right here. 2 Timothy 1 verses 7. It says, "For God has not given us the spirit of fear, but of power and love and of a sound mind." I'll read it again. For God hath not given us the spirit of fear, but of power and of love and of a sound mind. And so you have to let the woman choose you the same way that God expects us to choose him. There's no spirit of fear, but what does it say? Power, love, sound mind. Okay? Your power is in your love for yourself, that you're not going to be afraid to lose any woman that's in your space. And so the power and the love are intertwined. So any principles that you introduce to the woman to govern your relationship are going to be based in a sound mind. Because you haven't lost yourself in the woman, you're firmly fixated within yourself, because you love yourself and you are fearless. And so she understands that she's naturally supposed to submit to you. But if you don't give her the freedom to inhale the magnitude of man that you are, she can't develop a recognition for the man that you are, the magnitude of man that you are. And so she can't understand the logic and the reason that you're supposed to speak to her in, because you're speaking to her in fear. But she will understand logic and reason, because that means that you're going to give her choice. The same way that God gives us choice to choose him every day. That's how you're supposed to love the woman, the same way that God loves you, because you're the natural leader and everything is supposed to flow through you. And if you're grounded and you're fixated within yourself, then you're never afraid to lose any woman. And so your relationships will always improve. Even if you're dating a particular woman and you have to reframe things so you're not dealing with her in a space of fear, there's no guarantee. Things may or may not work out. But hearing a message like this tonight, you can take a better, more balanced version of yourself through life, meaning that you're not governed by fear, you're governed by a fixation and understanding of yourself. And if that's masculinity, if you're governed by masculinity, then you're never afraid to lose any woman, meaning that you're giving her utter and total freedom to step towards you every day the same way that you're stepping towards her. So masculine men always give women the freedom to choose him. It's really that simple. It's really that simple. Let that be the foundation of your relationship with any woman. You both obviously have an elevated desire and perception of one another to come into that space of being in a relationship. But set the solid foundation, because you're the man and you're the designated leader of the relationship. Let your self-love govern the principles and precepts that you set in place. You tell the woman, just respect me. Consider me the same way that I'm going to respect and consider you. No one is above the other at that point. You're giving her the freedom to choose you. And once again, the man who is not afraid to lose her will always have her. You're going to have the best parts of her because she had a space of freedom to choose you. This has been Matthew C. Horne, author, motivational speaker, and dating coach. Bring you a video tonight titled, Masculinity Always Gives Her Freedom to Choose Him. It's been brought to you by my books, How to Get Beautiful Women and Everything Else You Want from Life, in addition to How to Be Appealing to Successful Black Men for Black Women. They're both available at my website, www.matthewchorne.com. Get your copies. Don't forget to like, comment, share, and subscribe, and to continue to help me to get pushed up the algorithm so I can continue to bring you these elevated messages. And if you would like me to speak on a particular topics, you all in my comments every day ask me to speak about particular topics. This is how it goes. Make a donation of $50 or more to my PayPal or my Cash App that's in my video description, okay? Step one. And then in your note on PayPal or Cash App, because there's a note feature on both apps, put your subject that you want me to talk about in the note as you make your donation of $50 or more in PayPal or Cash App. And then I will get your video on my channel, Matthew C. Horne Dating, in 24 hours or less. And sometimes your description of what you want me to talk about is too much for a note. Still make your donation, and then email me at matt@matthewchorne.com, and I will do an assessment of your more in-depth description of what you want me to talk about in the video. And I'll get the answers to you. Your video will be on my channel in 24 hours or less. I'm worth every penny, I promise you. And if my video has been of value to you tonight, don't forget to drop something in my donation information. I never say a dollar amount, just however you were inspired and moved, just donate accordingly. And that's all I can ask. Keep me going as I continue to help you to keep going with these messages. And if you're in need of coaching, just like the gentleman who inspired this video tonight, if you're in need of coaching, email me at matt@matthewchorne.com. My email's in my video description, matt@matthewchorne.com. Leave your name, your phone number, and whatever issue that you're facing in the dating space. I will do an assessment, and I will get right back to you with the terms of the coaching. And once you agree to the coaching, then the coaching will begin immediately. I make myself available to people who are willing to invest in themselves and who want to go to the next level to get the desired and optimal outcomes in the dating space. I've enjoyed spending some time with you tonight. And please just understand that the connection that you're looking for is not going to arrive in your life with the beautiful woman that you fancy by trying to control her. You always give her the freedom to choose you, and she will come to conclusions in her own mind, her own spirit, and her own time. And when she comes to those conclusions, those are lasting conclusions because you did not try to control her or coerce her towards a certain outcome. Let her find the outcome by finding herself in terms of how she belongs in your space. And she does that because you found yourself and you love yourself enough to never try to control any woman. I can't make it any more plain. I hope that you've benefited from what you heard tonight, and just understand that I really enjoy making these videos. And I will be back at you very soon, and I'll see you soon.